So my last-ish question is, can we talk a little about modesty? I know modesty is, like, another hot topic, and I modesty is so personal, and I think that we all subconsciously kind of, like, if someone says you're immodest, like, we take it so to heart or something like that,
Mm,
and, like, I
yeah.
don't know, also, have you been at this time, Evie Evie magazine?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, have you seen the dress? Okay, let's talk about that in a second. Let's talk about that in a second.
Okay.
But yeah, so like modesty is it's such a personal thing, and I want to talk about that. And if you're listening and you're like, well, Mallory, I'm not perfect. Like I never said I was perfect. But one thing that I think, like, I can admit, like, you know what, that probably was not the most modest dress. I can admit that, and not to brag, but some people can't. I can admit that. But like, think that like it's just important for us because it is what God has called us to do. So I think, having a discussion about it once again is very personal. If we say something you don't like, just leave a comment, let us know.
Mhm.
Probably won't change our minds, but like, leave a comment. But yeah, like let's talk modesty. Like what are some I guess like what are things that for your personal self, what are some things that you think about when it comes to modesty?
Yes, it's definitely a really, again, it's a conversation that I think people can take to extremes really quick. It's either because that people will say, well, it's not all about your appearance, it's all about your heart. And then other people will say, well, if your heart is right, it kind of goes both ways. The way that I have always thought of it, or at least have come to think of it, is a lot of times modesty is really linked to humility. When you put on something and you just can, we girls know how it is. We put something on, we stand in the front mirror, and we're immediately feeling ourselves in a way that we know is like drawing attention to you. You know that when you step out in that, you're going to draw attention to yourself. And I think a lot of times that is kind of an indicator of, can I be humble in this dress? Can I be, is this creating pride? Or is this fostering humility? Because, of course, as believers, we are called to be humble. We are called to point to the Lord and not back to ourselves. And I don't think that goes against what we were talking about earlier when we do dress our best. We are still drawing attention to what we are wearing, but not in a way that immediately takes things in a different direction. With regards to maybe a more seductive look or something like that. So I think humility is a key factor there. Another thing that I think is on the other side of the equation, there are people who think, ankle length, shapeless dresses are the only way to appear modest. And I think that that is also a little bit misleading because then we have reduced a woman's beauty to solely her body parts. It's definitely much more than that. So I think across cultures, across religions, there's always different things. This is something that I'll just like really quickly touch on. But when we talk about modesty, there are other religions that also believe in modesty. And I think you're thinking of one right now. I'm not going to mention it, but when they think of modesty, they immediately equate it to covering a woman up head to toe, right? And immediately we lose the beauty and the dignity aspect of a woman's beauty. And I think that Christianity is probably the only religion, and I will say is the only religion that allows a woman to be modest, beautiful, and dignified at the same time. Because the Lord created us that way. He didn't give us, bodies to cover up. He gave us bodies to steward well. And I think stewardship is another thing there. If we really treasure what the Lord has given us, we will steward it in a way that shows that we are thankful for it and are grateful for it. And that one of those things is when the Lord says, you know, don't be a stumbling block for other people and don't, be holy, basically. That's one way that we can do that. So yeah, that's for me personally, that means I wear pants, I wear skirts, I wear dresses. I wear all of these things. And I don't think that you should only wear maxi skirts. But at the same time, I think when I set guidelines for myself, it's going to look different on my body than it might look on someone else's body. Somebody could wear, really, really tight clothing and their body fills it out in a way that is different from another body, if you get my drift. Um, so again, I think it comes down to knowing your body and how certain fabrics or certain cuts look on you, and then using that knowledge to dress yourself modestly. So I don't know. That was a little bit scattered, but hopefully that answered your question.
No, that answered the question. That was really good. And I think, and I think that's the best way to answer that question instead of just being like XYZ is modest or like listing out this dress is or this outfit is and this outfit is. I think that was the perfect way to answer the question. Thank you for watching this clip of Those Are the Girls with Mallory and Friends. You can watch the full episode here on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts.